Welcome to Easily Entertained, a show dedicated to appreciating all the best parts of entertainment. My name's Bryson Olson, and I'm a filmmaker and a lover of all forms of storytelling. Here I will bring you along as we critique and analyze stories with a more positive take on why we enjoy them, and bring a new appreciation to the world of entertainment. Welcome back to Easily Entertained. I'm your host, Bryson Olson, here to give you the latest on entertainment. Today we are going to be reviewing, analyzing an aspect of the Three Body Problem, which is a series on Netflix that was released maybe about a month and a half-ish, and it is, I believe, based on a book series. I haven't read the book series. I've only watched the Netflix show, so I couldn't really tell you that for sure. But basically, the kind of gist of the story is that a group of scientists basically learn that aliens are real. They get a message from them, and they find out that their civilization is dying. And so we kind of get a good mix of ethics into this kind of cosmos type story dealing with space and a dying alien race and determining if they should live on Earth. And so it poses a very interesting ethical question, which, is kind of like, are humans really empathetic enough to actually help save another sentient species and, let them come live on Earth? Short answer is, I think personally, and kind of how the show puts it, not really. We wouldn't really let them. And, it's kind of sad, and it kind of makes sense for the human race. But the show kind of dives into that a little bit throughout the series, as you're kind of just learning more about the alien race, learning what they had to live through, as well as how we would respond to the situation. So the first thing we really got to talk about is the problem. In this series, a alien civilization is going to die, and kind of how they learn this. So they kind of do flashbacks and stuff. How the modern people learn is, so a little group of scientists, Jack and Jin, they get this little headset thing, almost like VR type looking thing, where they play a game, and in the game apocalypses keep happening, and so they learn that their task is to help save a civilization from death. They keep dying. They have these unstable periods of time, and the reason for this is because they live in a three-sun system. Hence, that's why it's called the three-body problem. Body as in planetary bodies. So the goal of the player is to determine a solution to save the civilization from unstable periods. So essentially how the three-body problem works, because there are three planetary bodies that are all exerting a large amount of gravity, a planet can eventually hop over and be transferred between other planets, other stars, and it could continue to orbit them. It can accidentally be thrown off if, say, the three bodies are spinning around each other. They could be thrown off entirely and be chucked out into space, which ends up being really bad for the civilization. And so in the show, Jin and Jack, they learn that the big problem is that a civilization is going to die. They don't realize that it's an actual alien civilization. They only are just given the idea that a civilization could die. They have to make sure it lives. So they treat it as a game. But this is essentially the aliens, which are known as the Santi. They are asking if humans know how to solve the problem. They're trying to ease them into them coming to their planet. And so the way they're doing that is by letting them play this game. So they're really asking, do you know how to solve this? Is it solvable? And I think it is a very plausible way that aliens could introduce themselves. If aliens were to come here to Earth, I do think that they would try to find a way to appeal to our sensibilities, and they'd have to ease us into it. Because although I feel like a lot of humans do believe that aliens could potentially exist, I don't think people are really comfortable with the idea of sharing the universe and space with another species and understanding and accepting the fact that there is more out there. So that, I think, is a very plausible way that they would try and ease us into it. And the second portion of the show kind of refers to the variable of the whole problem. You can't really predict anything in a three-body system. It's not entirely survivable, because at least in their universe, in the little three-body problem universe, they determine that no computer, no matter how advanced, cannot successfully predict the outcome of a planet in a three-body system. There is no way to figure out when periods are stable. During the first level of their little game that they're using to introduce everything, they dehydrate people, and I'm sure that's not entirely how the civilization is actually doing it, but they're putting their people into a state of, I think, like cryogenic sleep, or the example they're using is like dehydration, and then they can rehydrate them during really stable periods. And I'm sure the civilization, that's how they were trying to figure things out, is they need a time where they can successfully predict when is a stable period going to be. They can go into cryogenic sleep or into a dehydration state or whatever, and then upon that time arriving, they can be brought back by like a computer or something. But no computer could successfully predict when stable periods are actually going to happen and how long they will happen. And a stable period is just when it's rotating around a single star, because then it's not really being pulled in between where it could get too hot because it has the power of two suns constantly on it, or too cold when it's being thrown between stars or thrown out into space entirely. And this gives them a question of what can they really do? Is there really anything that can solve this actual problem? And so this part of the test is trying to see how the humans think about it. Do they realize that it is unsolvable? And Jin eventually does figure out this is an unsolvable problem. This is how we win the game, is we determine that the real solution is there is no solution. They cannot exist within a three-body system because it's just too dangerous. Earth is a stable system because we have a single star. We're only rotating around that. That's why our planet has remained for millions and millions of years in such a stable environment for life to proceed. However, during this time, because of learning that this planet would not survive in a three-body system, they reveal themselves that, hey, we need a stable system. How do we solve this? We have to leave. We can no longer be in this three-body system. Therefore, they're going to go to Earth. And so they reveal themselves as an actual race. But when they're kind of asking the question, would humans help save another species? A lot of them are like, no, they're dangerous and they're liars. They reveal there's a secret society that is already aware of them, and they explain to their little AI robots that they sent hundreds of years ago, because they're light years away, so they're not going to be there very fast. But they are conversing with their little technology things, and the technology learns that humans are liars, and liars are really dangerous. That kind of causes them to be like, oh, we need to find a different solution, because we're coming to their planet anyways, and they don't really want us to come to their planet. So this is going to be a bit sketchy. And so then comes the last part of the big three-body problem, which is their solution. We're speaking in terms of science, where a solution may not be the end result that we particularly are a fan of, but it's the solution that it is their answer, it is their guesstimate, it is their, not hypothesis, but it is their result of what they have determined from the human race. And it's, if one of them survives, they all survive, because like I said, they kind of have determined either this cryogenic or dehydration process or whatever, so that as long as one of them is alive to bring back everybody else, they're fine. But so since none of them can survive on their planet, they have to abandon their planet and travel to Earth, become inhabitants of them. So they're traveling, they're going to be 400 years, and they're kind of scared because they know that humans probably won't accept them, and by the time they get there, humans will already know that they're coming, and because they don't want them there, they're going to build weapons to get rid of them. And because they're all in this sleepish state, they can't really advance their technology while they're in space, and they know that even though their space travel is better, by the time they get to Earth, their weapons will be far outmatched by what humans will have created. Our weaponry just advances so fast, and when we're going to deal with a extraterrestrial threat, that is what's going to happen, is that we will develop weapons so strong that it will outtake them. Clearly, they've determined that humanity won't welcome another species, will destroy them, and so they decide that their solution, their answer, is to stop our science. And the way they're going to do that is stop our collaboration with each other. Humans are a very collaborative species. That's how we've managed to evolve so fast and maintain a decent population on the Earth. Not even just decent, we are a massive population on Earth, and a lot of that has been because of our collaborative skills. You may hear that and think, well, not everyone's collaborative, but the human race as a whole is very collaborative. We worked together to get out of hunter-gatherers, to become industrialists, to move to the internet age. We work together to actually do something. Even if sometimes we're not working together very well, that's how we will do it. And so you kind of end off the series a little bit with that, where they have determined that they're going to end our science, and we were we're going to try and figure out something to stop them, send something up there to meet them halfway and stop them from getting to Earth or whatever. But because of these little computer nano things that are the size of a proton or whatever, they stopped it. That's what you guess. That's what you can infer from watching the show, is that they figured out a way to stop it, and so we can't really do anything. And then the series kind of ends not far from there, so we don't really know exactly how we are going to handle the situation. And I do believe it's because they are planning for more seasons. I think at least 2, maybe 3 seasons is what it was seeming like, and that will kind of leave them open to figuring out the end-all solution to this problem of another species coming here. And it's just a really interesting show, and it poses some good ethical questions. It has some fun science type stuff that you can kind of understand a little bit more about, and it does a good job at explaining it, even if you're not hugely scientific in your understanding and your own logic. But it does a good job of explaining it within the show to an average person. So I like a show like this that tells a good story, tells some interesting science, and poses ethical questions that really gets the viewer thinking. And I think that's what makes this show so it really makes you easily entertained. So that was the 3-body problem, the first season. Like I said, there will probably be more seasons coming. So with that, let's get into our rating for the Three Body Problem. If you don't know our rating scale, because on Easily Entertained, we can't just rate things on a 1 to 10. That's too easy. So from least to worst, we have garbage, once is fine, right mood, quotable, go to, and all day, every day. And I would put this first season of Three Body Problem, I would say probably at a go to. It is a really well done show. The emotional beats I feel like are all there, but because it's only the first season and it kind of leaves it off wanting more, it doesn't feel entirely contained. You're ready for more, and it's kind of waiting for the rest of the series to actually feel all complete. So for that reason, I will give Three Body Problem a rating of go to. And before we leave, we also have our question of the week. If you haven't heard our question of the week before, it is designed to get you interested in the discussion for the week. You can answer on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever. We want you to respond to this week's question, which is, do you believe aliens exist? Personally, I think believing that aliens exist is kind of ridiculous. Not because I don't believe they exist, because I do believe that aliens exist. I think just within such a massive universe, the chances are very low that we're the only planet with life. And to be honest, I don't know if we'll ever meet other life on other planets, because I don't know if the universe has really been given the chance to actually have life develop on such an advanced scale that they could invent space travel and meet us here. And if they can get here, maybe they're probably way more advanced than we are. Or if we can get there, we are way more advanced than they are. And so I feel like no matter which way we're doing it, someone's going to be a bit more advanced, and that could lead to some bad things. And most likely they're too far away for us to actually know that life exists yet on other planets. But I do think that aliens exist. Do I think that we've seen them yet, though? I don't really think so. So let us know your response to the question of the week. Do you believe aliens exist? And with that, that is the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed listening to me talk about the Three Body Problem and the fun ethical questions and science stuff that it really talks about. I thought it was a really good show, and I'm excited for when they eventually have more seasons. I like shows like this that really get me thinking. If you have any suggestions for shows or movies that we should review here on Easily Entertained, please give us a comment. Maybe we will do it in the future for a new episode. I'm always down to try some new things, or if it's one that I've already seen, I will definitely be checking it out anyways, because I like rewatching stuff. But with that, that is the end of the episode. Give us a follow on Instagram, TikTok for more entertainment, everything like movie trailer reviews, and just question of the week stuff and initial thoughts. It's always a good time. And with that, we will see you in the next episode. Bye. You have been entertained.